Now, 88 cases have been filed and 70 accused have been held till October. And to discuss this with us, we have Veena Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, joining us on the show. Namaskar, ma'am. Well, do you see the Chief Advisor Press Secretary's claim that those found guilty of violence against the minorities will be brought under the law fill you with any degree of confidence here as regards violence against the minorities?
Well, I think this can certainly be seen as a very strong outcome of the visit by our Foreign Secretary, Vikram Misri, because on Monday, Vikram Misri was in Dhaka and he had talks with his counterpart. He called on the Foreign Affairs Advisor, Bangladesh, and he called on Professor Muhammad Yunus as well. And at each stage, he explained quite clearly, with absolutely irrefutable evidence, India's concern and about the attacks on minorities, the Hindus, the Buddhists, and the Christians, and about the large number of people who have been killed, who have been abducted, who have lost their properties, who have lost their homes, who business establishments have been burnt. And, all this time, the Bangladesh media, such as it is, it's very gagged. It's completely, under the control of the press advisor to the chief advisor. The Bangladesh media had always been attacking the Indian media, saying the Indian media is doing propaganda about attacks on minorities. And why is the Indian media doing propaganda? I remember last Friday, a very leading editor of an English language paper in Dhaka said this and wrote a long editorial, on why is Indian media doing this propaganda. I've spoken to my friends in the Indian media. I've pleaded with them and I've told them nothing is happening. It is completely okay. And still they're doing propaganda. Now, after all this build-up, and then our foreign secretary is there and speaks unequivocally about it. And suddenly, 2 days later, yesterday they announced it. So actually 1 day after our foreign secretary left, suddenly they're saying that we have 88 cases and we have, taken action. Now, of course, one has to see the proof of that. What do you mean by taking action? Have cases been filed? Has somebody been arrested? Has somebody been named? There's no information about any of that. And on the other hand, I must tell you that the leading Bangladesh paper, the Bengali language paper, Pratham had done a study of the attacks on all the minorities between 5th August and 20th August, a period of 2 weeks. And on the 12th of September, they published information in their paper, including interviews with the Archbishop of the Roman Catholic Church and interviews with other leading minority figures. And they said that in our estimation, between 5th August and 20th August, at least 1,068 attacks have been made. And they gave details because they had gone to each home which was destroyed. They went to each business establishment. They spoke to the people who were hurt and who lost their lives, who were abducted. So they spoke about 1,068. At the same time, the Bangladesh Hindu, Buddhist, Christian, Oikyo Jot, the Unity Council of all the religions, they had also done a study for the month of August, and they came up with more than 2,000. And of course, Pratham said at least 1,060. So we can see that the extent of the attacks just for the month of August, of which statements have been given in the media, were far, far more, 10 times more than 10 times more than what the press advisor to the chief advisor has announced. So I think that while the interim regime in Bangladesh has now suddenly woken up and said, oh, we've registered these cases, but this is really far from describing the extent of the attacks. And we also, there's all the case against the Chinmoy Prabhudas, who was formerly with ISKCON, the case against all the people who were participating in the rallies, peaceful rallies. All these cases have been launched. All the Indian lawyers who were attacked to prevent anybody from appearing for Chinmoy Prabhudas, Chinmoy Krishan Das, his lawyers were attacked and they're in hospital. And statements were made that no lawyer will defend Chinmoy Prabhudas. Now, why should such an arrogant statement against a minority community person who has done nothing except participated in peaceful rallies and who has, held rallies in Rangpur, in Dhaka, and in Chittagong, peaceful rallies. So there is absolutely no explanation for it. I can say that perhaps they are trying to make a start, but, even the prominent journalist Munni Shah, who was attacked on November 30th and almost lynched, except that she was rescued by the police at that time. So, I think that these kind of attacks have been shocking. I know Munni Shah, she's a very fearless and bold journalist from the Hindu minority community who has for long fought in favor of women's empowerment. So, all these people, have been hundreds of journalists of Bangladesh are in jail, including the minority community. They have been charged with murder. Hundreds of others have lost their accreditation cards. And, they have lost their jobs. They've been removed forcibly without an explanation. So what I'm trying to say is that the situation in Bangladesh remains very serious.
Yes.
There is no freedom. There is no freedom for the minorities. There is no freedom of statements. There's no freedom of, even the religious worship, because the places of worship have been desecrated. The places of worship have been vandalized. And actually the great change we have seen this time from the minority community themselves, that whereas in previous occasions when, they were, you can see that there have been previous occasions. I remember in 2001 when Begum Khaleda Zia was elected, the BNP Prime Minister was elected in 2001. Her people did a huge campaign against the minorities, saying, you voted for Awami League, so we are, beating you up. But that stopped after a while. In fact, we Indian government has also taken it up. And then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee had sent his National Security Advisor Brajesh Mishra to talk to Begum Khaleda Zia. So we had taken it up in 2021 during Durga Puja. There were attacks on so many pandals and all that, and again we took it up. It all came to an end very quickly. But this time we have seen the most sustained and violent attack on the Hindus, the Buddhists, and the Christians going on for more than 3 months. It's the longest ever since 1971.
So, ma'am, seeing these attacks on minorities in Bangladesh, how do you see India-Bangladesh relations developing in the immediate future?
Well, when our Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri went there, he absolutely said that the Indian government, right from the first day, we have said that we are prepared to work with the interim regime in Bangladesh. And this is the message he conveyed. He said we want Bangladesh-India relations to be positive, be constructive, and mutually beneficial. So fully prepared to continue the dialogue, to continue the trade. But I think he very clearly drew the red lines. And he also described his discussions, his talks with the Bangladesh leaders as frank, candid, and constructive. So he's very frank and candid. He said exactly what it was. And you have seen how in India, there is a huge uproar of feeling against the attacks on minorities in Bangladesh. In West Bengal, there's very, very strong feeling. All over India, there's strong feeling. There are demonstrations, there are rallies, there are articles in the media. And all this is because of the actual feedback that everybody is getting. People have friends, people have relatives. So many Bangladesh people come to India for shopping, they come for medical treatment. So there's a huge amount of people-to-people contact. So certainly there is a lot of information. But we have said that these attacks must stop immediately. These cannot continue, and the perpetrators must be brought to book. The minority communities have made an 8-point demand to the interim regime. And this 8-point demand includes a law for the protection of minorities, Ministry for the Protection of Minorities, that those who have done these attacks should be caught and tried, and justice should be delivered. So all these, this is up to the interim
Unionist-led government, yes.
Yeah, but they have not even spoken about it. They have not mentioned it in any of the papers. The media is not allowed to mention this 8-point demand. And they've not even mentioned what is happening to the minority community. Out of the blue today, they suddenly said that yesterday they announced that, yes, there were 88 of these attacks, and we have arrested some people.
Yeah, so well, it is a beginning. Yes, it is a beginning where they have acknowledged these attacks on minorities. Well, let's hope that the Mohammad Yunus-led government will try and ease the situation and keep everyone in the country, every citizen in the country safe. Thank you very much, Veena Sikri ji, for shedding light on this important subject.